Next question comes from Dan Trueblood at Flesh Wound Tattoo in, man, I'm gonna butcher this name. He's in Illinois. So we're gonna just get this question out. Dan Trueblood, Flesh Wound Tattoo in Illinois asks, better for solid, bold lines, straight liners or round shaders?
First of all, I don't know what he's defining as a straight liner versus a round shader. Is he talking about our loose liners? Is he talking about what people call shaders that maybe I don't know? You know, if you go to different needle companies, somebody calls a round shader, someone where I was at work the other day, someone was asking me, hey, I usually like this round shader. What do you have that's similar for Black Claw? And I said, well, let me see what you're working with so I can see what close to, right? And his 9-round shader looked like a straight 7 to me. And I was like, that's really weird wording and naming for this grouping, because it was 9 and it was maybe straight, but maybe a tiny bit in and not very big. Not what I would look at for like, when someone says I want a 9 round, I'm thinking you want a 9 round straight that goes, or maybe if I want a 9 straight, you're like, that's a traditional Americana like needle size, right? For like a medium size, like if you're not looking for like, you know, extra fat or super refined, you're like, if it's small Americana, maybe use 7 round. Bigger, 9. Bigger, 11, right? Like it's kind of, I like that very classic look, right? You're thinking of like speedball, like what's kind of appropriate speedball size for flash? How are you going to translate to that to needle size? How does that look? That's the look we want. So I'm just going to use what we make to kind of extrapolate your question. Straight 9 liners for us versus our loose liners, which are medium taper textured, okay? I don't, again, going back to some other stuff we talked about, I don't love medium taper textured liners for lining. I think they're a real aggressive needle, and especially if you have a aggressive machine and you're wanting to tattoo really fast and hard, I think it can be hard on the skin. I like our loose rounds more for coloring and for filling in areas. I think they're better suited for that. Some people like them. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying, for me, that's where I do well, not with them as lining. So for lines, if you were just in the shop with me, I would 100% give you a straight liner. It would be a polished pin liner, and it would be straight. 100%, that would be my go-to. That's what I'd recommend. And then once you tried it and we could talk about how you liked the line, how it worked or whatever, then we would go from there as far as what you think might be next, or if you feel like it's lacking something or if it's giving you what you wanted. I don't know. We do have new groupings coming out really soon. They're called spreads. They're round spread liners, shaders. You could do either one. They're a polished pin, and it's like if you took, we're going to have a spread 5, a spread 8, and a spread 11. And the spread 5 will probably be like a loose 7 kind of thing. And the spread 8 is going to be like an 11 line. And the spread 11 is going to be like a 14 or a 15 round. It's almost like you took a straight needle and just hit it with a lighter, and then it fanned out a little bit, and there you go. So you're going to be able to pull big lines. It carries tons of ink, but can also do a lot of like really nice shading stuff for like little black and gray areas, because you have more space between the pins. So you're causing like very little trauma. You're carrying lots of pigment, but you're also like concentrating these marks in a wider area, so you're less prone to getting like little needle marks from a liner, especially if you run it in a machine that's like maybe a hybrid type machine, something that's in between a liner and a shader, something that's maybe running a little bit faster with a little bit shorter stroke, but not so much that it's a zippy little liner versus that. Those are another option that we'll have soon that I think are going to be really good for people who are doing like, they want a bolder, simpler kind of trad looking line, and they want to do some shading on some stuff, and it just gives them a little more of a true round shader feel. You know, it's more akin to a round Magnum because it's got a spread.
That's awesome. Let's follow that up because this touches really on what you're talking about. This next question from Mason Parks in Texas asks, why no round shaders? And before you start, I will say, when Black Claw sort of began and was launching its product line, the loose hybrids, as we call them, loose 5, loose 7, and 9, are
Round
rounds.
shaders.
But in the beginning, I think the idea was there that, at least for your application, you would use them sometimes in a shading and lining capacity, depending on the project, the skin type,
Right.
just where you were at. And now Black Claw is looking to pivot and actually start calling the hybrid product a round.
Yeah, because it's too confusing for some people. We wanted to call it a hybrid to express that we feel that it can work for lining, little round coloration things, and then like actual shading, to express that it had a wide variety of usage, right? Because we had people that were using like the Hollow 8 medium taper and they loved them for line work. I don't love them for line work, but a lot of people do, right? So I'm not going to say, oh, don't line with those, because these other people are going to be like, this guy's dumb, these work great. I'm not telling you how to use the tools. I'm just giving you my experience and what I've found works for me, but also I've heard a lot of people tell me they find great results the other way, right? And that's I get it. That's why tattooing is so incredibly difficult, because there's no one way, right? There's no one way to do it. You can do so many different things and have a tattoo turn out not only well, but heal well. And it's just wild. It's really wild, honestly. But that's why we don't have a round shader, because we do have round shaders.
Coming soon.
Well, we have round shaders now,
Right.
right? Like that's what he's asking about, round shaders. Yeah. We have them.
Yeah.
They're called they're called loose liners.
Yeah, loose hybrids.
Loose hybrids.
Yeah.
Well, they'll soon be called just loose liners.
There, yeah.
And then we're going to have a spread liner, which is actually spread. Yep. The loose liner is a kind of loose, straightish, medium taper texture. They're just bigger pins with shorter taper and texture. As where the spread are more spread and the straights are polished and like really ideally just straight.
Yeah, great question, Mason. You'll be seeing some updates on the website, and there will be round shaders labeled as such coming soon.